Good evening, everybody. I'm Stephen Dellinger-Pate, the superintendent. I'm going to be calling the meeting to order at 6:16. We're here for our board reorganization meeting, and actually there is one item that we need to adjust the agenda because we left an item off. And so we're asking to add item 4.3, and that is the,
Oh, 2.4?
Sorry,
2.4,
2.4,
so that we
sorry.
can go into executive session?
sorry,
Yeah.
yes, 2.4, looked at the wrong one, 2.4, and that is to look at the RFP for, the consultant for our work with Montpelier. So we'll talk about that. So can I have a motion to add that?
So,
So, well, we don't have a board quite yet.
Right.
Or, so it just,
We're just adding.
you just get
Oh,
to
I
add
get
it.
to add
Remember
it.
that, yeah, that's what
Power.
I said, you have all the,
The
you get to
power
add it.
is just amazing. All right, so we're adding that agenda item 2.4. It's just discussion. There's no action to be taken on that item. All right, and so to our first order of business in our reorganization. Get to my reorg sheets here. All right. So we have the election of our board chairperson. And so at this point in time, I'd like to entertain any nominations for board chair. Ursula, I'm sorry. I'm not used to this. Yes,
I nominate Flor Diaz to be chair.
all right, there's a nomination. Is there a second?
second.
Second, thank you, Chris. All right, any other nominations for chair? Seeing none, all those in favor of Flora Diaz-Smith being elected chair, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Huh? Congratulations, Flora. It's your meeting now.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm excited. I do want to say that as we move forward, I had made a commitment for at least one more year, and then we would look at transition with Ursula or somebody else, and we are starting to build up that sort of the desktop, we call it. And Melissa and I have been working on it, and just make sure that it's not about who's there, but creating some systems. So I'm gonna take a little liberty right now and say two things. One is just congratulate everybody for the work that they have done on helping pass the budget and all the work that we did here. We don't have Suzanne or the entire leadership team here, but just again, want to thank them publicly for all the work, including our superintendent, and did our best to tell that to David O'Cor so that he would put that on the paper. But with us right now, we have Melissa Tuller, who has been our district clerk, graciously putting up with all of us. And we just wanted to say thank you for your hard work in ensuring that we could commingle the ballots, which I know is a lot of work, and that everything was done in accordance to the law. And we are going to miss you as our district clerk, but we are excited because, as always, we continue to work with you. We wish you were here with us because we brought a cake to celebrate the budget, but we brought you some flowers. So we will deliver, Stephen will deliver them to the office.
I will make sure they're in a vase on her desk.
On your,
For her in the morning.
on your desk, okay, so that they're good. Okay. So thank you, Melissa. We are grateful for your guidance, for your help, and for, herding all this board members around, because we know we're not always an easy group. Would you like to say something? Oh, we have.
I don't have any speech prepared.
Well,
Thank you
just-
very much.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
We are grateful, and we wish you were here, so thank you for attending virtually.
You're welcome.
So, one more thing. So next to your mics, you have both a cookie from Julia. I'm not gonna steal your thunder, Julia. Julia, you wanted to celebrate? Can you speak?
Is this on?
Yes.
Yeah, so when I used to teach at Cabot School at Christmas time, I made my students these cookies with their names on them. And I didn't get to do that at Christmas this year. I'm not teaching in person anymore. But I decided that this is a good reason to celebrate with all of you stars. And I'm so pleased that we passed the budget, and I really like working with you all. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, and then there is some cake here. It's gluten-free. I made a torta caprese for all you guys for your hard work. And then next to your desk or your mic, there's also a little guy or girl or whatever you want to call it, or them. It's a little worry doll. And the worry doll is because we are headed for a year of possibly worries in many ways. But so you tell the doll, the tale, or the fairy, it's not a fairy tale, it's really the folk tale in Guatemala, is that you tell the doll your worries, and you put them under the pillow, and the doll takes care of the worries, so you can have a good night's sleep, and then, so, and it's a miniature one, and then it's in a little stick, because hopefully everybody's thinking about gardening in spring, and just, thank you for all you do. I appreciate all of you, and so excited for another year with you guys. Okay. So with that, we can move into the actual work. Hopefully, you guys will have the reorganizing. So the next will be to elect our vice chair. So I'm looking for nominations for our vice chair.
I nominate Ursula.
So we have a nomination for Ursula and a second by Daniel. Any other nominations? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. And then I'm looking for a nomination for clerk. Diane was not able to join us today. He said she'll be happy to serve, but she would be also happy to pass it on to somebody else. So I send the motions for the executive session and stuff, that are just motions for, and that I always share with Lisa and our chair and our vice chair and our clerks, just for keeping in mind, and I send them to Keely in case she was interested, but you guys, it's the pleasure of the board, so I'm looking for a nomination for clerk of the board. Ursula?
I nominate Keely if she's interested.
Diane?
Yeah.
Seriously? Okay, well then I would second the nomination of Diane. If
Okay.
you're-
But thank
But she did say, because I spoke with her too, that if someone else wanted to do it, she'd be
Yeah, that's what she said.
gracious about passing it on.
Yeah, I think she does a wonderful job, and I'm not
Okay.
looking to take on anything else.
Okay.
Need to turn on your mics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I nominate Diane for clerk.
Second.
Okay, so a nomination by Keely for Diane and a second by Chris. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, so then we are going to move into our committees, and then I'll move into all of our working. So first, the steering committee is usually 5 board members. Hopefully you can all hear me. It's 5 board members. We try to do it so that we have town representation. So at this moment, we have Middlesex, Berlin, and East Montpelier. So we would be looking to appoint 2 people, one from Doty, from Worcester, and one from Calais. So,
You got it?
any interests?
I nominate Elizabeth to the, do I have to nominate?
So let's say you nominated Elizabeth for Calais, and then
Calais.
do we have, and then you can make the nomination for all of them? Is that okay? The whole committee? And let's
Yeah.
just think, is there any interest from somebody from Worcester?
What time is it?
We meet at 9 on the second Wednesday of every month.
I
But
Oh,
presumably
sorry, we moved it to 8, sorry. Yeah, oops, that was loud.
Presumably that's subject to
Oh,
the
that's true, and that's subject to
availability of the people, right?
availability of the people. But that's when we are currently meeting right now. We moved it to 8 so that it was easier for people, but I know that that is not easy for everybody.
If it stays at 8, I can do it. If it moves to 9, I can't.
Okay, could you do it at 8? Yes, okay. So do you want to? Okay, so let's let Daniel do the whole, and then you can second. Is that okay, Michaela? No? No,
Do them individually.
oh, okay, we can do it individually. Okay. No, it's just the whole committee, the whole steering committee.
Right.
It's because it's the whole steering committee. However you want to do it, or Daniel. Michaela feels really strongly about making this motion. So, Michaela, would you like to nominate, start with Natasha, then Ursula, Elizabeth, Diane, and Flor? Yeah, you can. Go for it. As she takes the bite. Okay. Lisa, do you have that?
No,
No, no.
Middlesex.
Middlesex. Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to move that motion, Michaela? Yes. Yes. Okay.
Second.
And second by Daniel. So we have a steering committee. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? And, okay, seeing none, the motion carries. Now we're going to move into the policy committee. The policy committee is going to meet on Wednesdays it's 4:45 to 6 p.m. before our first, before the first meeting of the month or the first community forum of the month. And currently, we had Chris, and we had Natasha, and we had Amelia in that committee. Is there any other interest? We're trying to move it to the meeting before our, so that we can all be more versed on policy and be part of the policy discussion, just as we have all been learning about educational quality. And so we just need 3 members, but we can have as many, is what Ursula, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
You want to?
I'm interested in.
Oh, okay. Any other besides Ursula? Zach?
And policy?
Policy. So Chris, so Amelia's not here, so I'm going to nominate whoever is going to, she said it would be good. Elizabeth, no? No. Natasha, are you interested in continuing in policy? Elizabeth, okay. What am I doing?
You're moving your head back.
Oh, sorry.
So like, right now it's pointed this way, so when you move your head over to this direction, you're getting into it, so I'm just gonna point it like that.
And stay still, Flor?
That'll make it better for you moving around.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's give a list to Lisa. She can read it and somebody can make the motion. So right now we have Michaela, we have Natasha, we have Ursula, and we have Chris, and we have Amelia. Okay, anybody else? I'm looking at you. No, somebody forgot, no? Policy? Zach, no, okay. Okay, so that's it. Could you read that?
Yep, I have Chris, Natasha, Ursula, Michaela, and Amelia.
Great. Who would like to make that motion? Thank you, Natasha.
Second.
A second by Michelle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, we have a committee. Moving on, we're going to need a negotiations committee. In the negotiations committee, we had Chris and Diane, and I was wondering if Patrick
And
or
Jonas?
Michelle will like to be in that committee?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, more. Yeah, so, and,
Chris. Yeah.
and Chris
And
and Diane. Okay. So moved by Elizabeth, second by Ursula.
Chris, Michelle, Diane, and
Patrick and Michelle. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. So now we'll move into the Education Quality Committee. And the Education Quality Committee, I didn't write the entire list because it's literally the entire board. So people that would like to be in the Quality Committee, we're still looking. I'll let Ursula speak. We're still trying to figure out the date that they would be meeting. We're trying to remotely.
Since Chris and policy have taken our date,
No.
we have decided to move.
No, it's
It's
just,
fine.
it's
It's their
fine, just,
meeting
no, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I was being,
We sort of made them, Ursula, so not,
Oh.
so to just go.
Ed Quality is looking for a new date. I believe we're thinking second Thursday of the month. And we're still figuring out if we're going to be in person or virtual.
Okay.
like during the workday or outside of the work?
Jen, do you have any ideas?
Hard to know what works best for you all. I mean, we had been accustomed to meeting right before the board meeting, so that time was pretty obvious. So that had been five to six before.
We could keep the same time. Would that work for you still, Jen?
I would much prefer to have it on the night of a board meeting. I'm much more inclined to be able to attend because I carved that time out.
So we
That's
did,
one vote in favor of maybe
we
the
did talk about that with
fourth,
Stephen, and
third.
we could do what it's called carousel meetings. So we would have Jen attend I'm not gonna speak for Superintendent. You? we
Yeah,
talk-
so we had talked about, so Jen could be the lead for the leadership team with the Ed Quality. I would be with policy, and that we would then have both of those committees meeting. It would mean that board members would have to choose between those two, which then goes back to the committee that we just put together. But we can do that.
Natasha?
Why can't they meet before the second meeting of the month?
Right.
That, right now, we were using that for the configuration.
And there's a flow to like
Yeah.
when we're getting data and when Jen and her team are able to get, put the data together, and
So the beginning of the month is better.
it did work out better to be closer to the beginning of the month.
So, and just a question, Daniel, no, you couldn't do other night during the week? I feel like the board could benefit, I'm hoping that even if board members did not sign up for the policy committee, it would happen similarly to what we were doing with that quality, that board members will inevitably be attending the policy committee, because I think as a board, it's to our advantage to get better at policy and just all be really involved, especially in the environment that we're right now. So if you would be willing to give that a try, and let's let the Education Quality Committee try to find a date. We could change that meeting in the middle. It's not that we're saying that meeting is right now, is just so that we all can get it on our calendars. And if it's not working, we can change that and go to the first meeting of the month. I don't know. I'm looking at Ursula and Jen.
With a carousel meeting, essentially.
What
I mean, I'd like to be on the Education Quality Committee again.
okay,
I'll do my best to attend whenever it is.
okay.
So if we get a list of names, we could put out a doodle poll to see availability for people.
And we can add one option is the carousel meeting.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what works best for people.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So,
We need
so back to names. Okay, so we have Daniel, Ursula,
Zach.
Zach. Who else would stay? I would like to continue in the ed quality, but if it's carousel, I'll switch with you, Ursula, and I would attend policy and can,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by carousel meeting?
Means we would have two meetings at the same time, so two committees were meeting at the same time, so we just have to split personnel.
Got it.
Which we would also have to negotiate with our tech person here, because, oh, but no, we could do it with just the
They're
Zoom.
advisory
Yeah.
committees.
Yeah, that's true. They're advisory committees, yes, yeah. Okay. All right. And
So I
names?
don't think that I can do ed quality if it's another night, but if it ends up
Doing, on the same night you
being
could.
a carousel, I guess I would stay on ed quality and not policy. I didn't
Okay.
realize that we were booting ed quality for policy on Wednesday.
Actually, it's too late to make that decision now?
I know.
You've already committed to the policy committee?
I guess it doesn't really.
It's the sticky committee.
Yeah.
Once you touch it, you can't get away.
That's fair. I'll stay on policy,
So,
but it,
so right now.
never mind. I withdraw from ed quality.
So I will also remind people that right now we need at least 3 board members, and then you can, as members of the board, you can always attend subcommittee meeting. But it's best to stay consistent with the work, but if we can at least get, so right now we have Daniel, Ursula, and Zach, and
You,
me.
question mark.
Okay.
Okay, could somebody be willing to do that motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Patrick and second by Chris. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Yes. Okay, hearing none, the motion carries. Then we have the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee right now is Chris, Daniel, Zach, Michelle, right? Or you were not, you dropped off.
I can't go
Flor-
during the day.
Okay, so, okay, so right now, Chris, would you like to continue? So we would have Chris, Zach, would you like to continue, hopefully? Yeah, and then Daniel, would you like to continue?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so Daniel, we have, and myself, anybody else, and Ursula, sorry, Ursula, and anybody else? Julia? No? No. Okay. Lisa, what is that list? You got it?
Chris, Zach, Daniel, and Ursula.
And Flor.
And Flor,
Flor.
'cause yeah.
So I make that motion.
Thank you, Chris. It makes the motion, and second by Michelle.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We are moving into the Transportation Committee. Right now, the Transportation Committee is Patrick and Michelle. Wondering if you guys would like to continue?
Sure.
Yes?
Great.
And if there would be a third board member that would want to be in transportation? Yeah, don't
For the
just
least
jump.
frequent meeting.
Just don't jump all over this. Okay,
Is it, you don't,
That's-
you don't,
okay.
We've met once.
oh.
Yeah.
Do you get to drive the bus?
I think you guys are in,
Oh, is that part of it?
you guys are in good
Sign
hands.
me up. I'll
So-
do it. I'll do the transfer.
Chris, you used to be in transportation.
You know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah, it's no tires, okay?
What?
No, just kidding.
We-
You have
we-
no
we-
tires.
No tires.
We'll
Michelle knew what I was.
I know exactly what you're
we'll
talking
spin
about.
around in the, with the bus in the parking lot.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God. Sorry, guys. Okay,
All right.
Chris, Michelle, and Patrick.
So moved.
Thank you, Ursula. Second by?
Second.
Thank you, Keely. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And then we have the Communications Committee. And right now, we have Keely and Elizabeth on that committee. I would love if you guys will want to continue on that. And, okay.
Can I join you?
Yes, yes. And Patrick.
The Communications Committee is actually just, we switch
Patrick,
writing
don't-
up the meetings for Front Porch
Okay.
Forum, so that's kind of our,
And
our
Patrick, don't
role
forget that
right
you have
now.
the big
well, we
appointment
didn't
coming
use,
up.
there used to be no one doing that, so that's how
Yeah.
then we got more formalized into a committee, but.
Was that Elizabeth?
Yeah, so it's a really great help, because before it was just me writing the updates, and now Elizabeth and Keely take notes, and sometimes also Daniel would help me write updates, and so, but now it's more formal, they take notes, and then they send it back, and then we go back and forth, and we have an update, so it'd be great to have you too, Patrick. So Patrick, Elizabeth, and Keely, and the motion was made by?
I'd be willing to join that committee too.
Okay, Julia, that would be great. Okay, so Julia? Okay, so there'll be just once, yeah, okay. Who's making that motion?
So moved. Oh,
Thank you,
Kristen.
Chris.
No, Chris
Oh,
can
no,
have it, I'll second.
Chris and Ursula seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. So now I have a question. I know that, Linnea, you're just with us until June, because you're graduating. Is there any of this particular committees, having a student voice is so important? And now that you've heard and know more or less who's in these committees, it doesn't have to be really formal, but would there be any of these committees that you might be? I was thinking either policy or education quality, or even finance.
I would need to know a little bit more about the timings for them.
Okay.
But I'd be interested.
Okay, sounds great.
I can reach out to you about times.
And times.
We'll figure out.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally
That would be great. Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna include you in my doodle poll as I figure out time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So now I'm gonna go back all the way up before I get into, my favorite appointment. And so we need an appoint to the Career Center. And I had a conversation with Patrick, and he said he was willing to stay. So unless there's somebody else that wants to do it, he said to me, he will be willing to stay. So would somebody be willing to nominate?
I nominate Patrick. Oh.
Okay, so Danielle nominates and Michelle seconds. Patrick be our appointed member to the Vermont Career Center, Central Vermont Career Center, and thank you. This is very important work. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, thank you, Patrick. So as I'm gonna go all the way up to establishing our board and then getting to the truancy and stuff. Is that okay? So first, just affirming that our current regular board meeting is going to be the first Wednesday is our learning or community engagement, and the third is our formal meeting. We sometimes have to conduct some business at the first, so would somebody be willing to make a nomination that first and third Wednesday of each month, and the location of the first meeting of each month rotates? You have the language there. Would somebody be willing to make that nomination? Elizabeth, do you want to read that?
I can, sure. I move to make the regular established board meetings on the first and third Wednesday of each month. Do you want me to continue? Oh, the location of the first meeting of each month rotates between our schools, and the second meeting of each month is held at U32. All meetings will have a virtual option.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. So Elizabeth,
I just want to bring to the board's attention that there's a couple of Wednesdays that we might have to adjust. One of them is October 1st, is Yom Kippur. And so there's just a couple of them that we might have to adjust as we go
even
along.
from the last time we adjusted, yeah. So we kept revisiting and revisiting this.
Yes, I know.
This calendar, and there's still some, okay. And that you included that all meetings have a virtual option.
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Hey, Flor.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask if we could make an effort this year to reach out to the PTNOs or the Friends of the community we're meeting in to see if we can coordinate like a community gathering that coincides with our learning meetings that are rotating. The meeting we had in Worcester, where they had a community dinner ahead of time, had a wonderful energy, and it would be great if we could have that.
Replicate.
So maybe our tentative schedule could be sent out to those groups.
It's a
in
great idea.
advance.
Yeah. And I'm going to put a note to put it as part of our communications plan and work plan.
Great.
So that we,
Thanks.
Yep, that's great.
yeah, great idea. And, sorry, I'm just making the note because I was, okay. And here are the tentative dates for holidays to consider, right? We still have a couple that are not there, so we have October 1st, Yom Kippur, and there was one more. Oh, no, we did get the other one. So could I have a motion to accept the holidays to consider? And I think we reviewed them, but I'm hopeful that we didn't miss some, and we will double check. Ursula?
So moved.
So moved. And second by Keely? Thank you.
The motion was to accept the holidays that are listed in our memo.
And include October 1st, Yom Kippur.
What's the effect of that?
That we would not meet on those times.
Okay. Can we amend that to the motion that we're not, it's not just we're acknowledging that these are holidays, but that we're not going to schedule meetings on these days?
Sure, yeah, that we respect the holidays. Zach?
If we're gonna do that, I mean, that also produces, a conflict with Simchas Torah, which is honestly pretty minor. I don't know if we need to sort of, it's more sensitive to take holidays off than to add them, but I think I think Yom Kippur is a much, much bigger deal, and sort of that's the one to focus on, but not sort of to worry about the other next week.
I see what you're saying. He's saying
Take.
I would take, for the Jewish holidays, I would take Sukkot and Simchas Torah off, and probably also add Passover.
Yeah, and then just to be clear, is like you're right that we try to not meet in these days, but we also want to recognize what days are, and that to have them in our calendar helps us as we are having to schedule meetings, and sometimes, especially as we consider the work that we're going to be doing in configuration and stuff, you're right, Zach, we might have to meet in some of those days, but could we just do the motion that recognizes that it's the holidays and not say any more about it, or
So can
which
we
should be?
also add Passover then?
Yes.
So now it's going to be amended to include all of the list that is in the memo, plus Yom Kippur and Passover.
And are we not considering Juneteenth because it's after the board calendar?
We should put, I thought we had added, oh no, I added MLK, but didn't ask.
that actually is the day that the board said that we wouldn't be in session no matter what.
No matter what, yeah, that
it's
was.
already an established-
It's already an established holiday, yeah. Oh, that's true. So Natasha, what would you like to, I hear you guys, so tell me whatever.
That was me, not
Oh,
Natasha.
okay, sorry.
And I mean, I think if we're including holidays like Christmas that are always holidays,
Okay,
we probably should
yeah.
include Juneteenth also.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I thought I had put it in and then maybe got clear.
Thank you.
All right. Now that we really confused you, Lisa, do you have them all?
Do you have that now?
I just have to accept the holidays as listed in the memo and to include Juneteenth, Yom Kippur, and Passover.
Thank you. That's it.
you.
Ursula
I'm not
moved
sure
it,
anybody
and,
seconded it. I moved it.
Thank you, Julia. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm just making some notes. And now we're going to move into truancy. So could I have a motion? You have it right in front of you. Ursula, do you mind?
I move that we accept the appointment of truancy officers for each school to be Celia for Berlin, Jared for Calais, Gillian for Worcester, Carolyn for Middlesex, Alicia for East Montpelier, and JB for U32.
Thank you, Zach. So moved by Ursula, second by Zach. Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, so the motion carries. Now we're going to move into, I need a motion that we agree that we will operate under Robert rules.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So moved by,
Sorry, me, Keely. Oh, Chris.
That we operate under,
yeah. So Chris and Kelly. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So let's move into adopting our norms. So the norms were included in the packet. Most of you are really familiar, I think all of you are familiar with them now because we don't have any new board members at the moment. So could we accept the norms? And as always, we will update them at our retreat.
I move that we accept the norms as adopted in 2022 and we will update them in our retreat of 2025.
Thank you.
I second it. Ooh.
Okay, Patrick and Julia. Yeah,
So I have a question.
Yes.
This is board norms on page 2. It
Okay.
says, board norms adopted November 18, 2020, is what it says.
oh,
And so if we're referring to those as the board norms, I don't know if these have the updates from 2022, I think the motion was, just to clarify what we are adopting. So if it's the 2022 version, we should make sure that that's in our packet. I don't know if it's different.
yeah, and it actually, you bring a good point. We did not add anything, even our past, our retreat last summer, so we actually should be accepting our norms from 2020, what would that be, 2023? 2024, actually, because we're 2025. So, because we did talk about it at our board meeting, at our retreat in last year. So maybe we should review. We need to redo it in our. This is where they were when we wrote them,
Okay.
but we haven't been. And that's why I think we keep saying 2020 there, because it's when they were developed. If you remember, Jill. Help us with that. So I think it should have read there as reviewed in 2024. So would somebody be willing to adjust the motion to that? Because we haven't made any changes.
Should I just adjust it to as adopted November 18, 2020, and just leave it there?
Because that's
Is-
what's there.
And review
Yeah.
it in 2024. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Yeah,
not-
just, you could just, I think we could, if you're okay with it, Chris, we could leave it
No,
as
just-
accepted in 2020, because that's what was in the packet, that we will review them in 2025, and then now we make a note that we have to update
Okay,
that
yeah.
date there.
I mean,
Does
I-
that make sense?
Yeah, I just
'Cause
want
that's
to
what we have.
an accurate record
Yeah.
of what we are adopting.
Yeah, yes.
So I'll amend the motion to, that move to adopt the board norms, which were adopted November 18, 2020.
Okay. So we had Patrick and Julia, is that okay?
So Julia has to accept the second.
Yeah, can you
For the-
accept that? So you're amending, sorry, yes, because we
Yeah.
had a motion on the floor. So any discussion to the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, now let's vote in the motion to adopt the norms. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. Yeah. And then we're moving into identifying our communication practices. So this is just agreeing that the chair is the spokesman for the full board and the superintendent is the spokesman for the district. And this is best practice, and is, we copy the superintendent and the chair on every email and communication. That's not, we don't need a motion for that. That is just our best practice, and all of you are familiar with that. Is there any discussion?
I would say the communications that come to any member of the board should go to everyone, just because of the informational value of concerns that are being raised by individual members of the community that are only going to one board member, maybe because it's their representative from the town or something else, but it's if the board is acting as a board, access to all the information that is coming in, or concerns.
But the public is welcome to write to anybody. This is
No, I
just
understand that.
procedure. This is just procedure that if we're speaking, the chair speaks for the board, the superintendent speaks for the district. So that is just like a best practice. The other one, it was just best practice that if you're communicating with the community member, copy the superintendent and the chair. That's all that's saying, not
these
trying to say
communications that are
this is.
going out.
That they're
Okay.
going out. It's just best practice
Thank
for
you.
board members. Anything else can come to anybody. It doesn't, they can, it's always great to copy the chair and superintendent so we're informed, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's just when you're communicating back, best practices for us to know. Yes, Daniel?
I guess I have concerns about this just because it feels as if writing down two practices feels as if those are the two practices and we're not considering sort of other scenarios. And I know that this year we've had some complications around like how we were archiving and making public the communication between board members and the public, and concerns from the community that everyone was seeing what was coming in from the community and things like that. I guess this doesn't feel like it covers enough of our communications practices and norms to be sort of comprehensive as a list. And I'm wondering if maybe
We could add.
we could
Daniel.
think through that, or have a
We-
discussion as a board about what a slightly more detailed list might look like here.
Sure. And we could add, because we have.
I think your communications committee could do that.
Yeah, the communications committee could do that, but also just so that you guys know, we are keeping the same practice. Any email that is coming in, we haven't received any, but we have a separate, it's posted in the website. And the minute that an email comes to me and I'm replying on your behalf, or it comes to the entire board, is posted there, and the reply is posted there too. And we made a separate table for the configuration committee. We haven't received anything yet. We had a little bit of a snafu with getting that configuration committee list bulletproof, because it was not getting to everybody. But we do have those are there, so the communications committee could talk about that and how we better formalize that.
Okay.
But that's good. But that practice is continuing. We're not, our
Yeah.
intention to continue that practice.
Right. So just for example, that sounds like a practice that we should add to this list.
Sure. Yeah, communications table. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, and then the next was to schedule our annual board work session. We always do it in the first week of August, so it's predictable and that everybody can plan accordingly, either the 6th or the 7th. It's really, I don't know. So that's not gonna work for you, Julia? Oh, the whole month of August. Okay, and I know that not everybody, can always attend, but just so that you have it, we would send, we thought we would bring it up to you guys if there was a preference between Wednesday and Thursday. We try to.
I have a Wednesday preference, personally.
Okay, so, yeah,
Great, let's do Wednesday.
okay.
Yep.
All right, so Wednesday preference, so the 6th. So. Okay, designate, so for the retreat, do you guys want to do a motion? We don't necessarily need a motion, we'll just go into our work calendar, but we could formalize it, that our retreat is on August 6th, so everybody knows.
I don't think we need a motion,
Yeah, okay,
because then we'd have to have a motion if we're going to change it.
well, that's true, yeah, okay. So let's just mark your calendars. We'll tell Melissa tomorrow so that you can have an invite.
Get out the invite.
Then get out the invite. Okay. So designate but for this one, I do need a motion to designate locations for posting meetings and agendas. And we can add, even though this is what it said there, we can add right now. This is just a guide document so that we don't need to be all struggling here what this or that. So, Daniel?
I move to designate as locations for posting our meeting agendas, each school in the district, the Washington Central website, and each town clerk's office.
Okay, thank you. Did I have a second for that first part?
Second.
Thank you, Patrick. All those in favor?
Oh,
wait,
discussion?
discussion, sorry.
Do we want to post them on Front Porch Forum as well?
So-
Because that seems to be a more accessible electronic forum for most town members.
I think you're going to say what I'm going to say.
I know
Yeah,
what
so,
you're gonna say.
oops.
I was going to say, do we want to post the agenda or do we want to be posting the link, which is an entirely different thing? So
Same
when
thing,
we
yeah.
send out informational posts
Yeah.
on Front Porch Forum, we typically include the link plus meeting links and things like that, but it's not the physical copy of the agenda.
So can I add to that, Kelly? Just a clarification, is that if, this is another thing that the Communications Committee could discuss and put apart. We have that communications plan. What this is the minimum. What we don't want to be is not abiding by the law and by what we said. So this just allows Melissa to post in these places. If we add, we could add a list of 15. What we don't want to do is not be complying with our own motion, so we can add more, but I'm not trying to excuse it. So this is just the minimum, so that that is Melissa's work, and then as a communications committee, we can post, in every supermarket, as much as we need. This is looking for the minimum that we can post. Keely?
Yeah, I'll just
And then
say,
Zach.
and we can discuss it in the communications committee. I think that's a good idea. I'll just say that usually the write-up, depending on what we're going over, can already be quite long, and we try to keep Front Porch Forum as concise and accessible to people as possible. And I think we always end with, hope to see you on such and such date at U32, and here's the link. So people can go to the agenda, but I think actually posting the agenda on Front Porch Forum is just gonna turn people off.
So
Yeah.
in terms of, are you saying that what you prepare is lengthy and might discourage
It depends,
people?
after budget conversations, it can be quite lengthy, as we
Summarize it.
talk about the Vermont educational funding system. Sometimes they can be quite short, but I think that, and sometimes at the end, when we say, hope to see you at the next meeting where we will be discussing, and then we just write it in plain English rather than having an agenda. So I just want to make it accessible so that I want to make it call out the information that community members really care about rather than these are all the board operations that we're doing that
And we
I
have,
would say very few community members are that engaged in.
and we have Zach and Ursula.
Sorry, go ahead.
Also. Zach?
Yeah, I was just similar to what Kayla was saying, I was gonna say that, if, when you have too much stuff and too much of it is rote stuff, how many times do people need to see that there's gonna be the Colt report, yet they stop reading the stuff that you actually want them to read. And so I think it's better to give the communications committee sort of more freedom to tell people, this is why you should care about this meeting.
Ursula?
So I was going to also add that Front Porch Forum has its limits. It's a really great communication tool in the way that we've been using it, but it's a plain text post, so we can't format. So we can't just take our agenda as we have it and post it in the format that it's in. And there is absolutely a character limit that we occasionally bump into.
Yes,
But-
quite often. Yeah.
5,000.
And the bullets, sometimes we still put bullet, Keely and Elizabeth are better than me and not playing bullets, but, Natasha?
So I actually think it'd be a great idea to post the agenda on Front Porch Forum. I know especially in Worcester, we have community members who have been really frustrated at trying to access information on the website and other places, and Front Porch Forum is where they go. And I know before I joined the board, I looked at the agenda to see if it was a meeting I wanted to attend. So I don't think it's up to us to tell the public why they should attend the meeting or what things are important, but we should give them the ability to look at the agenda and decide which things on the agenda are things they want to show up for.
So we post the link, like right at the beginning of the update, before the meeting, the agenda is there and the link to the meeting. It's not the agenda spelled out because of the formatting. It just doesn't.
I mean, I reformat stuff when I post on Front Porch Forum, so you can format it to a certain extent. Also, for some people, even having to click on a link, depending on how they're accessing Front Porch Forum, may or may not be accessible for them. So, even if it's sort of a pared down agenda where we're not necessarily listing every single bullet, but I think that it is another way for members of our community to access that information. And again, I know in Worcester, that has been brought up from our community members.
Okay. And then Julia and then Ursula.
Natasha already just brought up what I was going to say.
Okay. Ursula.
So if we list Front Porch Forum on this list as in the official place, we are going to have to ensure that we always post the agenda. So that means that when it's the members of the steering committee, you can't be away, you can't have, right? If there's a reason you can't post, we would be violating the law by not posting. So if you forget to post, if we miss a post, if it doesn't go out in time, we violated the law. So if we put it on this list, there's a difference between having a communication plan that includes it and having it on this list.
So, and that was the discussion. Could we have it as part of the communication plan and then just leave this as a minimum? Patrick, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think that it's easy to fall back on what's on the paper, and then when we're strapped for time, when we're strapped for other things taking our attention, we forget we forget this conversation, and things get pushed away that aren't on the piece of paper. And I think there are reasonable accommodations for life happening that where we can't do all the things all the time. But I think that it's an important thing for our community to have the information as quickly, as easily as possible. And the buzzword is meet people where they are. And a lot of our community is on Front Porch Forum, and I think that getting them information before our board meeting would be helpful for the community.
Yeah. So we're not saying that we wouldn't do it, Patrick. It was just that, could that be part of the communication plan? But Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we need to take really seriously, in terms of like meeting people where they are, to think about how people really act. And yes, you might get some people who see the agenda who wouldn't if you post the entire agenda on Front Porch Forum, but I think a lot more people are gonna go, oh, it's that piece of spam again. Think about at work, how many emails do you get that you're like, oh, it's that thing again, I'm not gonna read it. I think that by committing ourselves to putting the whole agenda up, I think we create a real risk that a lot of people are just going to tune out what we're saying if it's showing up every 2 weeks in the exact same format.
So it seems to me that these minimum requirements that we're talking about now are more labor intensive than an electronic posting. I mean, because if you're talking about putting them in the town clerk's office, there are 5 different, is that not what we're saying?
Yeah, but they get emailed to the clerks, and that's most of our seniors and most of the people that are not in Front Porch Forum. That's like, you should see the amount of traffic through our town offices, whether it's dog licensing, whether it's like that really makes that accessible. People go to even if the town clerk's is closed, they go and see if it's what is posted.
So we're talking about, I think, probably tiny example or samples that are to establish a rule. And I think more folks are on Front Porch Forum and access Front Porch Forum than they do the town clerk's office, or maybe even our website. And so I would favor, and I think Patrick's right, we establish, even if this is a minimum norm, it's not adding on much more to forward this to Front Porch Forum than forwarding it to town clerks. And I understand that we are, by doing this, saying that we have to do this or we'll be in violation.
No, and that's okay. That's okay. We will find a process, and it won't be. I would suggest that we don't leave that to the steering committee. What it would happen is this would be one of the 5 posts that our district office can do, and Melissa will post on Front Porch Forum just the agenda, and that's simply that won't be up to the steering committee, so that there's no, and just in any case that there's no post, we will make sure that Melissa is posting. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I would just say in the same way that none of you
Yeah.
take it to the town clerk.
Exactly.
It would be a responsibility that would fall back on the district office
Okay.
to be able to post.
So who made this motion? We hadn't made a motion.
I did.
I did, oh yeah, Daniel did.
So I add to it,
Okay.
that the agenda be posted on Front Porch Forum. And I guess, can we roll in the minutes be posted on our Washington Central website? Because I saw that was the second bullet. Can it all be the same motion?
Sure, we can do 2 in 1.
Thank you.
And then you moved it, and who had seconded?
Second.
Well, I
Thank you.
think somebody had
Did
seconded,
somebody do it already?
I don't. think,
Yes, Patrick had.
Patrick, yeah.
Okay.
so you would have to accept.
Patrick, would you accept the motion as read?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa, do you have that?
That we're designating each school, the website, each town office, and Front Porch Forum
Yeah.
to post agendas, and then posting minutes on the website.
Yes.
Correct.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay, okay, 1 nay. Any abstentions? Okay. All right.
Flor.
Designate newspaper, go ahead.
I have a question. It's sort of related. So we post the minutes, obviously, and we post the videos of these meetings, but we're not posting the videos of committee meetings. Is that true, although they are recorded?
Yeah, we're not,
So that's something I've heard from folks that'd be interested in seeing video links for committee meetings.
So by open meeting law, we're not required to post the videos for those meetings because they're advisory. They're not, so they're advisory committees. It is a significant amount of extra work for the office to be able to get those pieces up because not all committees do a video for them. It's just those that have been meeting virtually at times, so Ed Quality hasn't been recording
Yeah.
some of theirs.
yeah, only unless you wanted to make all the meetings fully online, it makes, and even then, we were hitting the limit of Zoom. I'm looking at Spencer. We were hitting the limit of how many meetings we could record. What is there, and because people usually reach out to me if they want a recording, and the recording is available immediately, we send it off. You know, Melissa sends it off, or if I happen to have it, we send it off. So they are available when they're available, but it's not required, and and it, it just also gives especially the policy committee and other committees, that gives them more flexibility in how they are talking. The minutes are kept, which is required, so.
It's not required, but in the effort of being as transparent as possible, it might be useful as far as we can, as often as we can, to post those links. I've just heard from folks that they'd like to see, for instance, before the budget vote, they were really interested in what happened at a finance committee meeting, for example, and they weren't able to attend, so they were hoping to see the video.
Yeah, the
But-
finance committee is one of the ones that we always record, actually.
Yeah.
And that's the one that we share, because that's fully remote, and at any time, usually it's either Alan or Lila that would ask for them. I haven't had a request from anybody else, but if somebody requested to you, so we could start posting those on the
website.
On the website.
I think that'd be
What I
valuable.
think Stephen is saying is that we have limited staff, right,
Mhm.
that are overtasked. So we as a board also have to be conscious of the extra work that goes to that. So if it's just for, 1 or 2 people that are requesting those, I'd rather have them ask for them than then add another bullet that, another checklist for Melissa right now. I'm looking at our administrator, Natasha.
I just have a question. Is it noted on the website that people can ask for recordings if they're not there? So could we make that known to people? So if posting all the videos is an issue, and I obviously don't want to put additional work on our already strapped staff, to make it public aware that if they would like to get a copy of it, they can request that, and what that process is.
That's a great idea. We'll put it in where we list the minutes if they require, and we'll put it just in the ones that we actually have.
That they have, yeah.
A record. Okay. It's okay. Okay, so the next one is to designate the Times Argus as our newspaper of record.
So moved.
Moved by Chris, second by
Second.
Michelle. Any discussion?
What-
Oh,
What's the significance of that?
it's by law.
Yeah, we have to
Basically,
designate
we have to
one
designate one newspaper, and that it is our local newspaper, so it's, but again, it doesn't prohibit us for posting in the 7 days, in Burlington Free Press, it just doesn't require us, because then it's expensive, right? So,
This is where we post our warnings.
Okay.
That have a specific.
Thank you.
all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, appoint a board, we don't know if we're gonna need to do this year, but we would like to, in the past, we have appointed Ursula
What?
to
No, no.
the,
Voting delegate.
is voting
For the
delegate.
statewide health insurance?
At the VSBA, at the VSBA meeting?
That's not on here, but yes, for the VSBA, yes. But
No.
I was
no,
looking at the statewide
oh, no,
healthcare
actually,
insurance. that's in
Actually,
the-
it was me, sorry, yes, it was me, sorry, I was just putting it, sorry, yeah.
Well, we
I
can
move-
make it Ursula.
No, it's okay, no, so I don't know if I actually do not know if we're gonna need it, but if we do need it, I'll be
I
willing.
move to appoint Fleur
Yes,
as our voting delegate for statewide health insurance deliberations.
and second by Keely, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Well, there's a,
So Keely seconded.
there was, I don't.
Oh, there was
Sorry, I
a
forgot
question?
to turn my mic
on.
Oh, one abstention. Okay. Oh, okay. Favorite part of the meeting for some of you is part of your packet to adopt the code of ethics for the school board members. If you wouldn't mind signing it and giving it to me, is I don't really want to read it all here. It was part of your packet. It's just adopting a code of ethics.
Do we need a motion
There's
to
no
adopt
motion.
it?
There's no motion because it's voluntary, so if you wouldn't mind pulling it apart from your packet and signing it, it's voluntary, so it just, I
Fleur?
have a
I
little
think Daniel
pile
has a
here.
question.
Daniel, go ahead.
Just on a related note, I was looking, I think, a while ago for the oath that we make when we're first
Yeah,
elected to the board, and I couldn't find a copy of it. And I was wondering if we could add that to the website?
the oath of everybody when they
Yeah.
get.
The oath of
Sure,
office?
yeah, we can add that as part of, maybe clicking in the name of each of
Yeah.
you guys. Okay.
Member information, good recruitment tool.
Okay,
People can
sounds
find
good.
out what they're signing on to.
Okay. So you want a blank oath or the one that everybody signed?
Just,
The
what is
blank
the?
one that we would.
What is the oath? Oh, okay, I was making more work, yeah, okay,
No,
got
we're
it, got
good.
it, good,
I
got
got
it,
it.
we got it, okay.
Do you want the Cal
So-
or the Berlin oath?
Okay, so if you're willing
does all
to
the
sign,
same
I
oath.
already have some here, pass them on to Lina as, okay. Okay, and then we included a recent webinar in open meeting law. You guys also were part of our retreat last year. So make sure that you have that. We also should have received a coupon from Ben and Jerry's
Yep.
and your little open meeting law, little sheet. Okay,
Can I just add?
yeah,
I would just add, if anybody has a question about open meeting law at any time, you're welcome to contact me, and I'll get you that information as well.
yeah. And then and this is all, I'm gonna move, there's a PDF there. We will schedule, we don't have any new board members, we're gonna talk about this at the end of the meeting, but right now, there's some, you can have access to the toolkit from BSBA as part of the website. If you don't have a password, it's really easy. Just put your email, create a password. Amy Callan is our new office manager and master of everything. She's amazing. She can make sure that you have access to the website if there's anybody that still doesn't have that. There's going to be 2 new board member trainings. It's always good for even old board members. It's May 21st and May 29th, which were wrong in the packet that I sent you. The packet I sent you, we sent before, it just listed the previous ones so that you could watch those recordings. Thank you. But it's going to be May 21st and 29th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And I included the link there, so if you go to the website and look at the updated packet, you can just click on the link. It was also part of the school update, the ESBA update that you just got right now. And then the manual, is there anybody that is missing a manual from BSBA? We're gonna get new law books. We just didn't have them today with us, but they're heavy. So you're gonna get a new,
there's
a new law book, 2024.
Before it gets rewritten.
Before it gets rewritten. And then I put the link there to the board orientation handbook. We're in the process always of there's some things there that need to be updated, but we would be doing onboarding. As you guys all know, we're missing 1 member of Berlin, so we are gonna do that process of appointing for Berlin. When we do that, we would schedule an onboarding, and anybody can participate in that onboarding. And then the last part that we had here in this document was discuss the local and statewide education advocacy responsibilities. So again, I already did please create a password. There's a lot of updates. You guys just received 2 legislative updates. Today in our board is just reorganization, so we were not gonna exactly spend time in talking about the updates, but we would at our board meeting. And then there's different links there of how to stay informed. And we'll be sharing some national stuff too at our next board meeting. So with that takes care of all of the appointments. So that brings us all the way to 2.4 that we wanted to discuss, unless there's any other questions in reorganization that I might have forgotten, or if you're good. So that brings us to 2.4, and we wanted to share with you the discussions that we had with both Libby and the Montpelier district. Do you want me to start, or why don't you start?
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
So Flora and I met with Libby Bonesteel, the superintendent of Montpelier Roxbury, and their board chair and vice.
Jim and Mia.
And so, as we all know, there have been talks about merger. It actually goes back to 1990. It's a fascinating read to see those early ones. But given the challenges that we face in terms of our size and our configuration, and some of the challenges that they face with buildings and their configuration as well, we thought it would be best to begin the discussion, and that's been a part of the configuration conversations as well. I would add in that there's some uncertainty, obviously, about how districts will be formed in this state, as evidenced by the conversations that are going on in our State House right now. However, what we also feel is that if there are any consolidations, that Montpelier and Washington Central are certainly top candidates for any kind of merger. And so we felt like, as likely partners for a merger, maybe it would be good for us to go ahead and start gathering some information and putting some things together ahead of any actual merger committee conversations. Which also brings us to the other part with some of the legislation that's been posed. All of the things that are in place in legislation about how to merge 2 districts has been stricken in almost every one of the bills that is currently out there. So this could be a moot point in the near future. However, we still feel like with some of the changes in legislation, it could mean that we're still being put together in some way. So What we talked about was doing an informal study to just see the feasibility of a merged district. And so some of the things that we wanted to hire somebody to do is just to look at our current, it's kind of the statewide and regional context for a merged district, summarize some of our existing facilities, and so inventories, needs, capital plans, those, some staffing comparisons, some grade structures, current and projected enrollments, transportation, the financial situations of each of our districts, pros and cons of, kind of the high-level pros and cons that we could do that, and also include what's the feasibility of any other districts being a part of that. So Twinfield has approached us for discussion, but also any of the other surrounding districts. What is the feasibility of any additional districts being a part of this conversation? Certainly looking at current articles of agreement, any other considerations, and kind of looking at what are the core values that each of the districts has and how do those merge with each other. Now, we are presenting this to you in the same way that the Montpelier board was, which is just, this is the informational part. There's no action that we're asking of the board at this time, but it's to be able to say, hey, here's what's coming in the next board meeting. We'll give you some more information in the next board packet for all of this. And so there are, this is just a way for us to begin the discussion. And so I think.
And I think the hope is to have a request for proposal, so we would have a consultant. It's the way to speed the process. Neither of our district's central offices have the capacity to try to come up right now with and create a separate, like we did Act 76, 706, start at 706B, which is in the law book is Chapter 11, and start a full-blown. We thought that we will learn more, especially because we are right now ourselves having configuration committee meetings, so it was best use of our time to have get two people to put a proposal together. That's why we are right now sort of trying to figure out what that is. We will present it to the board at the next meeting, and then see if the board approves that. And like Stephen said, like we really been pushing for broader than just Twinfield. We would really like to have a conversation about Berry. We would like, and so we are still working on that language. But this would give us tangible data, and it will look like we are moving forward. Not look, but we would be moving forward with the conversations, because then it would be easier to move forward, basically.
And so the ask would be, we'll identify, here's the things that we would want to know as a board and as a community. And then also there's some dollars associated with this. So we would be asking for our board to approve half the cost of it, which the early estimate is between $5,000 and $10,000 total.
Yeah.
So for all of this.
And to be, and
to have the report to us by June 1st.
June 1st, yeah, so
Right.
not like,
Who?
yeah.
Who are you
Well,
considering?
we have, that's just it. We don't have somebody specifically picked, and that's part of, here's what we would like. And there's a couple of different people out there that do this kind of work, and so solicit from them. We don't have to actually go to an RFP, but we would go to a bid
Yeah.
to say, hey, what could you do for us? And we could choose from
So
those.
reach out to at least two people that we know, or
Yeah.
three, that we know that could do the work. There's not that many, that is familiar with Vermont, and that is also familiar with our districts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just that, we're just informing you that there was nothing, that's all. And most of you probably read the article in the paper from Montpelier too. There was, go ahead,
This
Sam.
question. I'm
Patrick.
curious, you started your comments with this, so it's not a surprise, but given the uncertainty in the state, does this conversation with other districts show that we are, give any impression to the legislature or the governor that about our kind of where we see ourselves in our own kind of broader community? I mean, are we projecting something? Are we trying to project something?
I think that what I think the other way to look at it, Patrick, is that we are we are taking charge of our
Yeah.
destiny and we are being proactive.
Yeah.
So it's not about them. It's really about us. So like we're gathering information. We would have tangible data, which allows us for us to have agency in how we make decisions for our future. Not necessarily, we've been talking about this for years. The voters have been asking us
Yeah.
to talk about it. So this will give us tangible data. We would have more. They can say that we're not doing our work as always. We're pretty responsible and we're trying to do our work. So that's how I will flip it.
I like
that
it.
it is like we are taking charge of our future as opposed to having somebody else take charge of our future.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Zach
Zach
was
and then
first.
Chris. Oh, Keely, sorry.
Just to comment about how something like this may work, because it potentially mirrors how the state deals with town plans. When you have a regulatory issue that a town has the ability to have input on, the state really looks to what have you planned in advance, and looks very skeptically on all the reasons not to do something you come up with after they have proposed their plan or after there is something on the table. And so if you have done the planning in advance, not knowing what they're going to do, and say, this is what we value, this is what we think would work, this is what we think wouldn't work for our community, that carries much, much more weight than something coming after the fact.
Keely and Chris,
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it's something that's coming up a lot in the configuration committee as input from the community already, and that's really a conversation that we've been having outside of the state and the legislature. So I think it's something that, it's better to discuss and figure out on our own terms. And it's something that the communities are certainly calling for.
And it's one of the issues for discussion going to be board governance. And the reason I bring that up is that Roxbury had an unfortunate experience with board governance with Montpelier. And I think that would be something we'd really want to be addressing in a concrete way so that, we're not overwhelmed by numbers if we're going to move forward.
Well-
Numbers of votes.
Right, so this would just be gathering the information. What are those structures? So what are our articles of agreement, all that? That would all be hashed out if we were to end up in a merger
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
This will just give us the information about what does it look like in each of our communities
Yeah.
around how we're organized, so that we can do some comparisons for that work.
The consultant is not going to tell us how
No.
to do the articles of agreement or anything.
None of
It's
that.
just going to give
That's
us the
not what we're
data.
asking.
Yeah.
Follow up
Go ahead.
on you. You said that the proposals that are even thought about being on the table, the ability to merge two districts have been stricken?
In some of the legislation that has been posed, they haven't been voted on by anybody yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But the posed legislation would eliminate the section of the statutes that would allow for mergers of districts. In other words, most of the proposals that are on the table right now have specific, here's the districts that will be merged together. So it's, and I'll bring you a real brief update of kind of where we are for the Colt report next week.
And then just another follow-up. Why wouldn't we want to, if there are other districts that have expressed interest, why wouldn't we want to incorporate them as well in this
We are.
process?
We are.
At the outset, as opposed to later?
So I think that, from what I understand in our conversations with Montpelier, is let's start with us and see what other possibilities might exist, because it gets exponentially more complicated as you start adding in more. And so I think the feeling was, let's start and then see what else could we do. And I would also, I just want to reinforce, because some of the conversation and configuration is always just merging the high schools.
Yeah.
This is talking about merging the districts, right? So it's K through 12 for both districts together. So I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
So we're not talking just high schools.
And Daniel?
I was just gonna, I just wanted to raise the point of keeping our legislators in the loop. I know it's very early, but it would be really problematic if we got to a certain point in this process only to have legislation that, had intervention happened earlier, could have been conducive to our plans, but because there was a lack of communication or there were just assumptions made on both sides, they're divergent paths, and we have to undo a lot of work and aren't able to unspend a lot of money in that process. And I think about this study, and it doesn't feel like we're going too far down one path, but on the other hand, that very preliminary configuration study that was drafted with these hypothetical school facilities that we were talking about, using for merged or reconfigured schools ended up being the facilities that we proposed. So I guess things have a way of sneaking into the plan very early on, and so I guess I just want to make sure we're really communicative about with the public and with our legislators in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that the majority of what we're trying to do in this early phase is gather information so that we could then move towards a discussion around plan, is really what we were trying to focus on.
And I just, because people are looking for, more tangible things and different things that, because there's so many executive orders going, there's so many, so but I'll move to that in a minute, actually. Is there any other questions about the Montpelier? And then I'll end on that. And we'll bring more information at our meeting and include that in our packet. But here just here in the conversation that we were having, we put a pretty extensive legislative update in your Tuesday update, and we just had another one that would be really worth your read. And just so that you know that they're going to spend probably the next 2 weeks not really talking as much about H4 54, but talking more about the EEL bill. So, and we're hoping that the EEL will be good. So that's another thing. And then Stephen and Suzanne and myself talked about bringing to the board just something tangible, because we're getting a lot of fears about executive orders and federal grants and federal money. So they are working we know right now that we count on about $1.6 million in our district on federal grants. So they are working on bringing it to us as a report. What is how much is Title I, IDEA, and for us to have a picture so that we can plan ahead if things came to worst, and also we can provide that data to our legislature so that they can be planning in case of those funds are not available. So we are any feedback, any questions that you have, just please continue to bring them up at our meetings. Okay, now we can move into public comments. And we don't have any public left here except for Orca, and we have very few people. We are now 8, which I think Stephen and I are 2 of those 8, and Spencer.
And Orca.
And Elizabeth.
And Lisa.
And
this is us.
Oh, this is us.
And
Okay,
Orca.
public. Do you have comments, public? Okay, great. So seeing no public comments at the moment, I would like to move us into our first executive session, and I'm looking to Kelly or Ursula. Whoever is.
I move that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of considering matters related to the residency exception request as authorized by Title I VSBA Section 313A7 to include Stephen Dellinger Pate.
And it's VSA, no VSBA. Sorry.
I wasn't wearing my glasses.
Sorry,
Sorry,
it's okay,
VSA.
it's okay. Okay, thank you, Kelly and Ursula. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move into executive session next door. Orca, and we have 2 executive sessions. Don't feel like you have to.
Everybody all at once.
Who seconded it? Natasha or who seconded? Okay. Okay. So Ursula and Natasha. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We are going to move into, and Lisa, Ursula moved to get out of executive session, and Michelle seconded. Okay, and now we have another executive session. Orca, you can go because there's no action after that one is informational.
So I move to find that the premature general public knowledge regarding the contract clearly places the board at a substantial disadvantage.
So that has to be
A second?
second.
Okay, so we have a motion. Can you read it again, Ursula, because some people.
The motion is that I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the contract clearly places the board at a substantial disadvantage. This is not,
Yeah,
There are
this is
two-
a
There's too much.
declaration.
Can I clarify? So let me clarify. So you have to first acknowledge that the contract needs to, whatever contract we're about to discuss, needs to be in an executive session, and then you have to vote to
And
go
then
into
we're gonna
executive
motion.
session.
Yeah, so,
No.
second for Ursula's motion. Thank you, Michelle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries, and second motion, please.
Now I will move to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing contracts as authorized by Title I,
VSA, yeah.
VSA 313A1 to include Superintendent Stephen Dellinger Pate and Gillian.
Okay, can I have a second? Okay, second by Daniel, moved by Ursula. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, we're going to move into executive session. Spencer, Orca, thank you for being with us.